My daughter Anna is 16 years, she was an accident when I was 24. Anna's mother and I were never together as a couple cause it was a one-night stand, but we have maintained a friendly and healthy co-parenting since she was born and we became good friends. My daughter's has been living on another continent for a few years with her mother and stepfather, but she wants to come back because she doesn't feel comfortable there and misses her family and friends. Anna doesn't know their language well and it's still hard for her to learn it, so she feels really lonely there. I spoke with my daughter's mother and we thought it was a good idea to let Anna live with me. Her room is now my home office, but I can easily put together a room for her again. We didn't confirm anything. I talked to my wife about it first and I was sure that she was going to be okay with it because we literally talked about that possibility before. The problem is that my wife doesn't want that to happen. My wife and Anna have never been close at all because they only meet in person for our wedding when I was able to pay a ticket for my daughter to come. That was the last time I saw my daughter in person. Plane tickets are too expensive, but they do tend to talk a little bit when I make video calls with Anna, but not too much. Anna also talks to her brother and he likes her a lot even if they just see each other in video call. My wife says Anna is not going to feel comfortable in a house with strangers and I told her that we are literally her family and she said no, she and our toddler are not Anna's family because they barely knows her in person. It honestly hurts me that she thinks that way, but I understand her point of view, although our toddler is Anna's brother and it really annoyed me that she said that because our little one really loves his sister even if they just see each other online. I had an argument with my wife about it and I ended up telling her that my daughter will always come first of all, because it's true, for me my children will always come before any other person, and she knew very well about my daughter when we married. My wife got angry and said that bringing Anna home would change how we handle ourselves and that she doesn't want to be a stepmother, that said that Anna lived with her mother in another continent so it's not the same as having her right here every day. I told her that no one is asking her to be a stepmother because I will be the one who take care of her as always. My daughter used to stay many days with me and I was the one who took care of her. I'm not going to give my wife all the work because I was a single father for a long time and I know how to take care of my daughter. I work, I clean, I cook, I take full care of our son when she works and wants to go out and do something. We both support each other in raising our son. I don't understand why some people in the comments can't believe that a man doesn't leave all the work to the wife, but that if she doesn't respect my daughter's presence in the house and hates it that much, then she has all the freedom to go to a hotel room. I was a big idiot because those words obviously ended up really bad and we had a worse argument. My daughter has every right to live in my house if she wants, but my wife doesn't want that. I really love my wife, but my biggest focus is to give the best to my children and I would love to have my princess here after years. My wife hasn't been talking to me at all and she's very angry, but she does continue with the same stance that she doesn't want Anna here at all, and I know I will get angry and we will end up arguing again because I'm not going to leave my daughter alone neither. Comment 1. Your wife doesn't want to be a stepmother. Full stop. She doesn't want anything to do with your daughter. She's going to be awful to her. I would reevaluate my relationship had anyone told me this. Comment 2. Yeah, I feel like people might get confused. Not wanting to be a step-parent? Totally understandable and fine. You just met someone, they have kids, you're like, oh, that's not where I want to go. I don't want to be a stepdad, totally fine. You marry someone with a child already and a weird living schedule and arrangements and you don't want to be a stepmom? Gigantic red flag. Comment 3. TBH, your marriage is over. Your wife openly doesn't want your daughter around and, even if she claims to change her mind to keep the marriage, it would be a lie. Even if she tried to pretend, people pick up on it when they aren't wanted or liked, so your daughter would literally feel your wife's dislike. You cannot bring your daughter into a home with your wife. It would harm her. I am 32 years old and male. My girlfriend is 29. Today it was my birthday. About a week ago, when my girlfriend approached me asking what I wanted, I said that I'd rather just kind of stay in, game, and maybe order some food. She seemed disappointed because she wanted to do more, but she knows, or at least is supposed to know, that I'm more of a homebody. The only time I really want to go out is if we're either A. traveling, or B. seeing a movie. Well, this morning she woke me up at 9 a.m. and said she had something special planned for me. I immediately knew that no matter what it was, whether it be a movie or a day trip, that I wasn't really in the mood to go. But despite my earlier comment about wanting to stay home, she had obviously planned something, and so not going along for the ride would have upset her. We got in her car, and she drove directly to the mall. I hate the mall. I hate the mall more with her because she just wants to go on these 8-hour window shopping marathons, where she keeps asking me questions about what she thinks would look good on her. I voiced this to her before, but she didn't seem to understand or care. I just hoped for the off chance that maybe we were going to see a movie and leave. That wasn't the case. She dragged me around the mall window shopping. The only break was lunch in the food court. Then back to window shopping. Around dinner time I thought that she may have something more special planned. She drove me across town, and I assumed we may be going to Korean barbecue. But she parked in front of a sushi restaurant. She's supposed to know that I really dislike sushi. The only kind of roll I can really stomach is the egg nigiri. While eating, she was obviously trying to force off this hyper-positivity about how great everything was, and I apparently couldn't react well enough for her. When the check came, she made no inclination that she was going to take her wallet, and so I just ended up paying the bill. We got home and she asked how it was. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I told her it was a terrible birthday and that she should have just left me alone. She immediately began debating the point, and I may have been harsh, but I said she obviously doesn't give the first shit about my feelings and just wanted to do what she wanted. She began quietly crying until she called me an unappreciative asshole, went to the bedroom, and slammed the door. I heard her shriek several times. I don't know what I was supposed to do. Should I have just shut up and pretended to enjoy it? Comment 1. NTA. She completely disregarded you. You weren't even a consideration. She used your birthday as an excuse to drag you around, making you miserable doing what she wanted. She took you to do everything you hated. Was she trying to be mean? Then you say she was shrieking? Okay. That's something for 9 to 11. And you had to pay. She's in a hole. Comment 2. She sounds very narcissistic. And potentially manipulative. You had already told her you wanted to stay in, and she planned a day for herself. Then tried to pretend it was for you, made you pay for it, then expected you to play along with her little game of pretend that it was all for you. I'm glad you told her the truth about it at last, but that's not enough. This is not a woman you want around you or any future children. There are so many supportive women out there, why settle for one like this? NTA. Comment 3. NTA. You hit the nail. Obviously doesn't give the first shit about my feelings and just wanted to do what she wanted. She commandeered your birthday as if it was hers. She did all the stuff she loves, nothing you love, nothing you asked for, and you are supposed to be grateful to her. Horrible woman is a narcissist, that should be a triple red flag for the day. Time to dump her. I have a 10-year-old stepdaughter, 2-year-old son, and an 11-week-old son. I've been in my stepdaughter's life since she was 2, and I make it a point to make sure she is included just as equally as my sons, as I didn't have a very involved stepmother, and I never wanted to make her feel the way I have growing up. I make sure to have equal photos of each kid around the house. I have a spreadsheet to make sure each kid gets equal amount of money spent on them for each holiday or for college savings. I attend every one of her events and overall try to go above and beyond to make sure she feels included and just as important as her brothers. We were planning to pick up my stepdaughter tomorrow evening, Saturday. It was supposed to be our full weekend, but her mother told us last night that she's got a last-minute dance event to attend on Saturday, so we said that's fine and we'd get her just for Saturday night. My husband got a call from her mom tonight while he was out, and she said St doesn't want to come because there's no point. This is the first time she's ever refused to come over or wasn't actually eager to come over. Then she let him know that her feelings are hurt because I make a lunch for my 2-year-old son, but I don't make one for her. From my perspective, I've always made her a lunch, but within the last 6 months or so she's started making her own here and there. If she ever asked me to make her one, though, I would always do it. Even though I knew she was more than capable, I still never wanted to turn her down, so I would. A few months ago my husband heard her asking for a lunch maid and he told her that she's 10 now and more than capable to make it herself. Ever since then she hasn't asked, and so I've never assumed it was an issue. Also, the lunch she is claiming I am making for my 2-year-old son is literally some goldfish, fruit snacks, and milk. I'm really not making him a lunch at all. Her mom even admitted that she's just being lazy, but my feelings are really hurt over this. Makes me feel like my effort is kind of for nothing. Is 10 still young enough that I should continue doing this for her? If so, what is an appropriate age to expect your kids to make their own sandwiches? Am I the a-hole? ETA, I'm talking strictly lunch at home, not school lunches. I would absolutely pack her a school lunch if she was with us during the weekdays, but unfortunately we only have her on weekends. Comment 1. NTA, but make her lunch so she feels important to you too. I get what her dad says, but kids see things so much differently than adults see things. There's no appropriate age to stop. I had friends whose parents made them lunch until high school, some through high school, and some stopped when they were 12. You can make it until a kid says they want to do it for themselves. Comment 2. Nah. Maybe it's just me, but when I was 10, my mom still made my lunch and my friends' moms did the same. I think your husband was a little harsh with her. Look at it from her perspective. She made a perfectly normal request and her dad stepped in and shut her down. Your son probably gets a lot of the attention and she's not even allowed to ask her stepmom for a sandwich. My guess is this isn't just about a lunch. There's probably other ways that she feels slighted or not as special on your home. Once a child refuses to go on a scheduled visit, it's usually downhill from there unless the parents sort out the problem right away. It's also possible that she's just being a lazy brat, but before you accept that conclusion, ask yourself how sure you are that your conclusion is correct. My dad remarried only 1 year after mom and him got a divorce. The new woman, let's call her Brittany for the sake of the story, kinda always forces me to call her mom, and I just told her that she's not my mother and only my dad's wife. She never brought it up again. It's not like she doesn't have any kids of her own. She has one daughter who was in a different state for college when they got married. I never met her. Only knew her name. Dad invited me over for dinner to meet her once she was back. She's like a few years older than me. Let's call her Stella. Dinner was okay-ish. I kept to myself mostly since I really didn't know how to initiate conversation tbh. So yeah, Stella and I barely talked. Surprisingly though, a few days later, I get a call from Brittany. She told me that Stella wanted to move out and find herself an apartment. I thought she was asking me to help Stella look for apartments. Before I could even say that I was happy to help, Brittany asked if Stella could move in with me. In any other circumstances, I would have agreed. But my fiancé will be moving in with me soon and my apartment has only 2 rooms. The second one will be turned into a nursery. I told Brittany that I would help Stella find an apartment, but moving in with me would be difficult. She started a huge drama. She involved my dad. And my dad's like, don't be selfish. You have 2 rooms. Give one to your Stella blah blah blah. I think the only reason Stella was so adamant on moving in with me is to avoid rent. Mostly because she's shying away from 30 and still unemployed. But honestly, I can't accommodate someone else. I told them how my fiancé and I were planning to start a family. Brittany said, so what, 3 of you can fit in a room? Actually no. With a dresser, bed and wardrobe, we can't accommodate a crib in there. Last straw was when Dad said, you don't do that to your sister. She's family, I snapped. No. She is not my sister. And Brittany is not my mother, no matter how much you force it on me. There, I said it to their faces. I'd why they get offended after hearing the truth. They all were offended. I'll miss my dad. Especially since he has now cut contact with me. And the last message he sent was, "Can't believe a selfish, spoiled brat was a product of me." Comment 1, NTA this is not your sister, since there is no shared childhood at all. You guys are essentially acquaintances at best. You're at a very exciting point in your own private life and with your own relationship, it is unreasonable to expect you to postpone that. No asshole would be concerned enough about this to ask the public if they are an asshole. My personal take is that Brittany seems to be quite intrusive with high and irrational expectations. Maybe watch this in her relationship to your dad so that you can warn him if something unfair happens down the line. It is also surprising that Stella even would want this. Comment 2. NTA. Stella moving in with you makes no sense. Why doesn't she stay with your dad and his wife? The fact that the parents are trying to force this and Stella isn't even part of this emotional blackmail attempt would mean every interaction with her wouldn't be private, it will come with a circus. Does she even want to move in with you? Tell your dad you learn to prioritize your partner from him. Tell him your fiancé said no, maybe he'll understand that. Comment 3. NTA. You don't owe them anything and this is not a selfish thing. Your dad just showed you who he truly is. He chose that horrible wife and her daughter over his bio child. My advice is to accept the fact that he blocked you. Good riddance, the trash took itself out of your life. When your dad tries to come back into your life, please remember who he truly is. You live your best life and build your little family. When you have your babies, protect them from that garbage that is your so-called dad and his family.